Hello and welcome to another edition of the GetGrowing weekly work session with GetOiling. I am Coach Ashley, and in this training, you're going to learn how to create a brand guideline and a name logo. This is part one of two special trainings to help you get your brand in order and plug it in to your GetOiling site. So this is a pre-recorded call. We are normally live at noon Eastern every single Thursday, with the exception of holidays, which is why you are seeing this as a recording. So if you'd like to join us on a future live call, we are here for you to help you grow your young living business every Thursday at noon Eastern, getoiling.com/weekly work session. Now today, here's what we're gonna do. This is a little bit of a doozy, but don't worry, you're going to be able to download these slides so that you can use them as reference. So first, I'm going to share with you how you can claim your resources. I have some resources pre-made for you. They're sized correctly. All you have to do is swap out your own information to get what you want out of this process. I'm going to help you figure out what to do if you don't have fonts or colors yet for your brand. I'm going to show you how to create a brand guideline and then how to create a logo with your name. Now, next week, we are going to learn how to plug it all in. This week, we're going to make the stuff. So let's get started. First, we've got resources that you can claim. First is a brand guideline. You can get access to this by clicking the link below and either signing up for a free Canva account or signing in with your own. You'll also see that there is a template that you can use for a horizontal name logo, as well as a square name logo. Now, let's talk about creating our brand guideline. First, we're going to gather our brand fonts, our brand colors. We want to get the color codes for those brand colors. And then we're going to grab that template that I gave you, and we're going to get started. So if you don't have brand fonts yet, no problem. First, what I'd love for you to do is go over to fonts.google.com. And I want you to pick two standard or sans serif type fonts from Google. These are going to plug in very easily to your GetOiling site, and we want these to be fonts that are very easy to read. We don't want the main font on our page to be scripty or challenging to read because it's going to encourage people to not read, and we want people to read what's on your site, right? Then we're going to select one or two scripty or stylized pretty fonts from Canva or elsewhere for things like your signature and for accents used in your branding. You can get these from places like fontsquirrel.com. Of course, Canva definitely has a fair amount of these. dafont.com or fontspace.com. Lots of great places online to find fonts, but make sure that you have got one of each of these. And of course, if you wanted to play around with some combination, we'll wind up using three, including the stylized font from Canva or elsewhere on your brand guideline. So if you don't have brand colors yet, don't worry, here's what we do. First, what I want you to do is pick a photo that you love. What I did here is I went to unsplash.com and I looked for lilies, my favorite flower. So I found this one of these two beautiful pink lotuses floating on a pond with lily pads. So what I did was I downloaded that photo. Then I went over to Canva and I clicked Create a Design. And then I chose the option to start with an image. And then I chose to use Edit Image, which populated over here on the right, the image itself as the thing I was editing, but I think this will work just as well for you if you're using it in a design. You just want to make sure that the only thing you have on your canvas is this image that you love. All right. Now, what we're going to do next, after clicking edit this image, is in the menu column, which is going to be on the left-hand side in Canva, I want you to look for elements. This is where you see the different shapes. Click elements and then pick any shape. Specifically those shapes, those blank, gray, pick a circle, square, triangle, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're only using this to start establishing colors. Now, what I want you to do is go over here to the, when you select the shape, I want you to go over and find the color box in the top menu. And then you can look down that menu column for an auto-generated palette. You can hover over that to get colors, to get hex codes. You can select additional colors from the photo if you like. You can create a situation here where you have multiples of these on the page that have the different colors that you want to use from your palette, and you could even copy those into your brand guideline to import those colors there. Canva can be a little tricky to use in terms of grabbing hex codes and using them and kind of moving between a brand guideline and your brand kit in Canva. This actually makes it a little simpler for you to use to get this thing started. So just grab yourself a palette based on the image that you love, and we'll move on to the next steps. Now we're going to create a brand guideline. Now what we're going to do is you're going to find the brand guideline template that I've given you in the links below this video, and you are going to see your horizontal logo and square logo, as well as a place for you to write the month and year. You do want to update your brand guideline once a year or as frequently as your branding changes. But what I want you to do here is to delete the boxes and the text that's on this page, and then swap out your own logos and then update the month and year. Now, if you don't have logos yet, don't worry. I'll show you how to do that. You can come back and add those to this in a later step. Now we're going to create our brand guideline colors. You'll see over here on the left, this is the second page of your brand guideline made for us by our very own Jess. Thank you, Jess, for creating this brand guideline for everyone to use. What I want you to do here is click on the color boxes and replace their color values with your chosen colors. And what you're going to do is replace the number values with each number's hex code. So how you do that is to, let me go back here. There we go. What you're going to do is click on the individual box, right? So you see we have 6 of them. You're going to click on the individual box, click the color up at the top where you see the gray, and then you're going to have the option to go and swap out for your colors. Another thing that you could do, just as a cheat code, is you could add a page to your brand guideline and upload your the photo that you wanted to use, so that the document colors will reflect the colors in the photo that you can choose from and add to your brand guideline. You just want to make sure that you are also adding the actual hex codes, which you'll see right here on the right, on the lower right. I've hovered over and clicked magenta, and it is popping up and showing me the color code for magenta. So I'm going to copy that into, or write that into, my brand guideline under each color. It is going to be important for you to have access to this for future steps. So make sure you do the work of grabbing not only the color for the palette itself, but also the number code, because we're going to be putting that into your GetOiling site in future steps. All right, now let's talk about fonts in our brand guideline. This is down at the bottom. We are going to create an accent typeface, which is going to be sort of the scripty, pretty accent. We're going to have a heading typeface, which will be headings on your site eventually, and then a primary typeface, which is the majority of the font on your site. So I want you to highlight script and then replace script with your selected scripty font and change the wording there to reflect the name of your font. So as in this case, I've highlighted script, I have renamed that space Amsterdam 4, and I have applied the Amsterdam 4 font. Repeat this for your accent typeface, heading typeface, and primary typeface so that you have your brand fonts done. All right, now we're going to pick our elements. Now this is going to go into the space right here. You can actually drag and drop images onto your brand guideline if you want to. You could also find elements that you love. I looked for sunshine because our fictional character here, his name is Lula Sunshine. I clicked sunshine here, or I searched it. And then what I did was I created an element for her brand here by selecting a Canva element that I love, and then I am applying one of her brand colors to this element. So that will now become a brand element for her. What I want you to do is adjust these to your brand colors as you find the ones that you love, and then repeat this process to create 2 to 3 brand elements that you really love and want to use for your logo, for your name logo, if you're going to make a new one, and for your site. We'll be using these elements as well for things like favicons, which you'll learn more about, and I'll show you how to set up in a future video. So now let's create our name logo. Here's what we'll cover here. First, what is in a name logo? How do you claim the resources? Get those below the video. And then how to create your name logo in Canva. And then of course, we'll be downloading those because in the next video that you see from me, you'll be learning how to set all this up on your GetOiling site. All right, so what's your name logo? First, it should be your name. I know. If you came up with something cute and clever and oily, I'm sure you love it. And maybe that's something that you use with your team. But your brand is you. It is your name. Please use your name, okay? Now, you should have a mix of horizontal and condensed or square in terms of your different logos that you use. Now, I've given you templates for both horizontal and square. They'll be used in different instances that you'll learn more about soon. And then I want you to make sure that if you have your own address on GetOiling, so if you have a yourname.com, I want you to include some versions of your name logo that include your URL. And then remember, this is your brand. This is going to get stamped everywhere. So let's make this you so that people can start to recognize your name and even your website name and come to get more and more curious and interested in what it is that you've got going on. So you've got great leads for Young Living. All right, so here's some examples. These are Lula's name logos. You'll see the top two are horizontal, right? They're long. They have her name horizontally, first, last name next to each other, and then an element off to the right. On the left-hand side, you see that we are including her URL here. There are square type or condensed logos that are sort of stacked on each other for smaller spaces or where you would need more of a square space on both of the bottom instances here, one of them with a URL and one without. All right. Now you're going to create your own horizontal name logo by first editing the text to reflect your name. So your first name, then your last name. You can then change the colors of the text to reflect your color palette. Swap the element for your own element and then make sure that its color reflects your palette. Now with square name logos, totally the same thing. Edit the text to reflect your name, change the color palette of the text to your own, swap the element out for your own, and make sure that the color reflects your palette. And in both of these instances, excuse me, in both of these instances, you want to try to make sure that your logo takes up as much space as possible inside of that template that I gave you. So in the square template, try to make it fill that square as much as possible, as well as with the horizontal one. These are set to have the right kind of resolutions to be uploaded to your site and function well. So just make sure that they fit as much as possible. And then finally, with your square logos, you will see in your templates that I have one example where we have one of the brand elements for this Lula here that is expanded to fill the square. I'm going to be showing you how to get that downloaded here. And in the next video that you see from me, we're going to learn how to turn that into a favicon for your website, which is that cute little thing, little image often that will show up on the tab of a browser when you are logged in somewhere. So you'll have your own for your site. Let's talk about some name branding best practices. First, I want you to err on the side of fewer colors for greater flexibility. You don't need to have something super busy. You really actually shouldn't have something super busy. 2 colors is really the maximum that you want. And I would try to keep those 2 colors in a similar vibrancy or saturation. The reason is we want to be able to adjust our logos to show up on whatever backgrounds we need to show up on. And if our logos are too busy and we have too many colors going on in them, that can really negatively impact your ability to be flexible in your branding. Name branding, branding yourself, makes you iconic. And it's not about the busy colors. It's about you. It's the substance of who you are. You want people to get used to seeing your name and seeing a lot of it because they need to get used to hearing from you. So err on the side of leaning into your name being iconic. Choose a color, maybe 2 at most. Clear over clever, always. You may have some interesting ideas. You may have some, some depth of creativity and ideas around what you would want to include, different swirls and patterns and, leaves and all kinds of stuff like that. It's always going to be better for you to show up clearly sharing what it is that you're about so that people understand what you're about. You don't need to lean on your logo to convey all of the subtleties of your personality and what you have to offer. So really just make this about your name as much as possible. If you want to add an element like the sunshine or a leaf or a flower, what have you, that's fine, but keep it simple. And consider making full-size images of your brand elements, not only for the favicon, but for other instances that may appear. Maybe you want to add it into a cover photo for a Facebook something or other, or for content for a featured blog post. Having these elements that are downloaded as transparent, that are in your brand colors, will always be really effective. For you to have on hand to be able to use easily. And again, guys, keep it simple. This should not be a difficult thing to do. Just nail it, get it down. You see that your brand guideline has a month and a year on it. That means that brand guidelines change. You can change this in the future, right? You just need to make sure you update everything when you do. So just go ahead and go with something. Let's get this done so you can get your site branded on the next video that you see from me. And then, of course, you want to download these with transparent backgrounds so that they have the greatest flexibility in how they can show up. If there is a number one reason why I recommend you getting Canva Pro, this may be one of them. It really is something that can help you take your branding into your own hands. All right, now here's our final step. We are going to download. Actually, it's not our final step. It's our almost final step. Now we've got our logos made. What I want you to do is click transparent background. And then I want you to download your logos. All right, and then finally, we're going to update our brand guideline. So go back to your brand guideline. If you do not have, or if you didn't have logos when you worked on your brand guideline, I want you to go back and add your horizontal and square logos there, making sure that those are set up and ready to go. Right? Find your brand guideline, delete the photo, replace it with yours from your uploads. And then, of course, optionally, if you want to go ahead and download your brand guideline as a PDF for your use in the future, you can go ahead and do that here. You can also, once you have a brand guideline created, if you want to outsource work done for you on Fiverr or somewhere else with a graphic designer, you can send them your brand guideline and they will then be able to make the things for you that you want, and everything will be branded to you when they do. All right, so make sure that if you want to download the PDF, you select download, select PDF, and download your brand guideline. All right, congratulations, you guys. This is a big deal that you're branding yourself. And next week, we're going to show you how to use your logos and your brand guideline to brand your GetOiling site. So excited to see you then. So be sure you're signed up. GetOiling.com/weekly work session. We look forward to seeing you on the next live one and look forward to seeing you in the next video when we brand your site. Take care.